The words hit me like a punch to the gut as I stood frozen outside the counselor's cabin that stormy night. Gabriel. I've never felt this way about anyone before, but I can't let this happen. Sebastian's voice cracked through the thin wall, confessing feelings I never imagined were directed at me. Little did I know that by morning, the man who just bared his soul would look right through me like I was a stranger in his world. Rain hammered the roof of Camp Evergreen's main lodge in the Colorado Rockies, turning the paths into muddy streams, but I barely noticed as I slipped away from the cabin, heart pounding so hard I thought it might echo across the pines. I had only arrived that afternoon, a 21-year-old from Chicago stepping off the bus with a duffel bag and a nod of uncertainty about this leadership program for college guys. Sebastian, the head coach everyone raved about, had greeted the group with a firm handshake and easy smile during orientation. Tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp blue eyes that seemed to see right through people, he moved like someone who owned the mountains. But now, overhearing him talk to his buddy through that cracked window, something inside me cracked open too. Was he really talking about me? The new guy from Illinois who hadn't said more than hello? My mind raced back to the bus ride, how I'd caught him glancing my way once or twice, but I'd brushed it off as professional interest. Now it felt like everything had shifted. I ducked into my assigned bunkhouse, ignoring the chatter from the other campers, and lay on the thin mattress staring at the wooden beams. Sleep wouldn't come. Who was I to him? And more terrifying, who was I to myself? Growing up with parents who ran a strict household, where dinner table talk never strayed into anything complicated, I'd always pushed down questions about why other guys never interested me the way they should. College had been a blur of part-time jobs and buried feelings, but here, surrounded by towering evergreens and fresh air that smelled like possibility, those questions roared back. By dawn, the storm had cleared, leaving a crisp blue sky. At the morning assembly on the grassy field overlooking the lake, Sebastian stood at the front with a clipboard, barking orders in that confident tone. Gabriel Torres, he called when it was my turn to check in. His eyes flicked over me, polite but empty, like I was just another name on the list. No spark, no recognition of the night before. My stomach twisted. I stepped forward, forcing a nod. Here, coach. He didn't linger, just marked the sheet and moved on. The rest of the day blurred into team-building hikes and rope courses. I kept stealing glances at him as he demonstrated knots or led stretches, his athletic frame cutting through the sunlight like he belonged to the wilderness. Every time our paths crossed, he offered the same neutral smile he'd give anyone. Good form, keep it up, he'd say, then turn away. By lunch, doubt gnawed at me. Had I misheard? Maybe he was talking about someone else named Gabriel. But the way his voice had softened on my name, no, it was real. And now this wall of distance felt deliberate, like a door slammed shut before I could even knock. I sat with Tyler, a lanky guy from California who shared my bunkhouse, picking at my sandwich. Coach seems intense, Tyler said casually. I shrugged, hiding the storm inside. Yeah, professional, I guess. Inside, my thoughts spiraled. If Sebastian felt something, why hide it? And why did the idea of him feeling it make my chest tighten in a way that wasn't just fear? Back home, Dad would laugh off anything like this with a joke about real men. Mom would change the subject. Here, alone with the mountains, I wondered if I could keep pretending forever. The afternoon session involved canoeing basics on the lake, and Sebastian paired us up without a second glance my way. I ended up with Tyler, paddling awkwardly while watching Sebastian glide in his own boat, instructing from afar. The sun warmed my skin, but a chill settled in my bones. What if this summer, meant for growth and leadership, became the place where everything I'd buried finally surfaced? By evening, around the campfire, stories and laughs filled the air, but I stayed quiet, replaying his confession. Sebastian sat across the flames, laughing with the other counselors, his face lit in warm orange. Our eyes met once. He looked away first, quickly, like I'd imagined the connection. The night stretched long, and I realized this wasn't just about him anymore. It was about me facing what that confession had unlocked. The next few days settled into a rhythm of early runs, leadership workshops, and group challenges that left everyone sore but buzzing. Sebastian led every session with the same steady energy, his voice carrying across the fields as he corrected postures or encouraged quieter guys to speak up. Yet every interaction with me stayed clipped, professional. "Adjust your grip here," he'd say during a climbing drill, his hands hovering but never touching. Then he'd move to the next camper without another word. It was as if the night of the confession had never happened, leaving me to question my own sanity in the quiet moments between activities. Tyler noticed my distraction during a midday break by the lake. We sat on the dock, skipping stones across the clear water. "You okay, man? You've been staring into space since we got here." I hesitated, the confession burning on my tongue, but I couldn't risk it. "Just homesick, I think. Parents called last night." That part was true. Mom had rung right after dinner, her voice bright but probing. "Making friends with nice girls there, Gabriel? You know, networking is important." Dad chimed in from the background. "Focus on the real stuff, son. No distractions." Their words landed like weights, reminding me of the life waiting back in Chicago where questions about who I was stayed locked away. Here, with Sebastian's avoidance carving a hollow in my chest, those expectations felt heavier. I wanted to ask him why he'd said those words if he could pretend so easily, but fear kept me silent. What if confronting him made everything worse? The afternoon brought a team relay race through the woods. My group drew Sebastian as our advisor. He stood at the starting line, arms crossed, eyes scanning everyone but lingering nowhere on me. When it was my turn to run the obstacle course, he shouted encouragement to the group. "Push through, Torres. You've got this." The use of my last name stung like a polite barrier. I crossed the finish line panting, and he clapped once, generic praise for all. Later, as we cooled down, Tyler pulled me aside. "Coach is hot, right? But something's off with how he looks at you. Or doesn't." My face heated. Tyler was out and proud, the kind of guy who wore his identity like armor. "It's nothing," I muttered. But inside, the pull grew. Sebastian's confession had cracked open a door I wasn't sure I wanted closed anymore. That evening, during free time, I wandered the trails alone, the pine scent grounding me as doubts swirled. Was I gay? The word felt foreign yet familiar, like a song I'd heard in dreams. Back home, I dated girls half-heartedly to keep peace, but nothing ever stuck. Here, the memory of Sebastian's voice saying my name with such vulnerability made my pulse race in ways friendships never had. The next morning brought more distance. Sebastian organized a trust fall exercise, pairing campers carefully but skipping any direct involvement with me. When my turn came, he watched from the sidelines, expression unreadable. I fell back into waiting arms, but the real trust one craved felt miles away. Tyler cornered me after. "Talk to me, Gabriel. This isn't just homesickness." I opened up a little, skirting the confession but admitting the confusion. "I think I might feel things differently." "And the coach? It's complicated." Tyler nodded, no judgment. "Summer's long. Figure it out here where it's safe." His words stayed with me as the day ended with a group reflection circle. Sebastian facilitated, sharing stories of past campers who'd found their strength. His eyes swept the circle, passing over me like wind over water. The ache deepened, mixing with a strange hope. Maybe this distance was his way of protecting us both from the world outside these mountains. But as I lay in my bunk that night, listening to the crickets, I wondered how long I could carry this secret without it breaking me. The summer had just begun, and already the lines between coach and camper, stranger and something more, blurred in my mind. Midway through the second week, the camp shifted to water-based challenges on the wide lake nestled between peaks. Canoe trips were mandatory for building teamwork, and fate, or the schedule, put Sebastian and me in the same boat for a navigation exercise. The morning sun glittered on the water as we pushed off, paddles dipping in sync. At first, silence hung heavy, broken only by the splash of strokes and distant calls from other pairs. I gripped the paddle tighter, heart hammering. This was my chance. Coach, about the other night. I started, voice low. Sebastian's shoulders stiffened. Focus on the route, Torres. We veer left at the cove. His tone was flat, eyes fixed ahead. No acknowledgement. The words I'd rehearsed died on my lips. We paddled on, the rhythm forcing proximity, our arms brushing once when a wave rocked us. He pulled back like burned. Steady, he muttered. Thunder rumbled in the distance as clouds rolled in fast, typical for these mountains. Sebastian radioed the base, but the storm hit before we could turn back. Rain lashed the canoe, forcing us to shore under a rocky overhang. We huddled there, soaked, the space too small to avoid each other. This will pass, he said, voice tight. Couldn't hold it anymore. I heard you, Sebastian. That night outside the cabin. You said my name. Lightning flashed, illuminating his face. Shock, then a wall slamming down. You must have misheard. Focus on staying dry. But his hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his jacket. The minutes stretched, rain drumming around us. I spilled a little more. It's okay if that's how you feel. I've been questioning things too. My family back home doesn't get it. Sebastian stared at the lake, jaw set. This isn't the place, Gabriel. I'm the coach. Jobs, reputations. People don't understand. The admission hung there, raw. He hadn't denied it. But before I could press, the rain eased, and he stood. Let's head back. Separate boats if possible. The return paddle was silent torture, each stroke widening the gap he'd rebuilt. Back at camp, he avoided the debrief, leaving me with Tyler to process. He admitted it indirectly. I told my friend over hot cocoa in the lodge. Tyler whistled low. But he's scared. Closeted coach's face, real fallout here. Parents pull kids if rumors fly. That night, alone, flashbacks hit. Childhood baseball games where dad praised toughness. College parties where I faked interest in girls. Sebastian's confession had mirrored my hidden fears, and now the storm inside matched the one outside. The next days brought more activities, but his distance grew calculated. During a leadership seminar, he praised everyone except lingering on me. I threw myself into helping Tyler with his presentation, earning nods from the group, but Sebastian's eyes stayed neutral. A phone call from Dad interrupted dinner. Heard you're crushing it, son. Keep it straight and narrow, no funny business. The words echoed Sebastian's caution. My identity crisis peaked as I walked the trails after, questioning if fighting for truth was worth the isolation. The camp's beauty, golden sunsets over peaks, contrasted the turmoil. By week's end, another close call during a group hike. Sebastian led, and when I slipped on loose rock, he caught my arm instinctively. The touch lingered a second too long before he released. Careful, he said, voice soft for the first time. Then the wall returned. That fleeting warmth fueled my resolve. I wasn't alone in this pull, but the misunderstandings piled up, each avoidance a silent betrayal of what we'd almost shared under that overhang. The summer's halfway point loomed, and with it, the choice to push or pull away forever. Rumors started small, like sparks in dry brush. One of the older campers, a guy named Marcus who'd seen us shelter during the storm, whispered to his circle. By midweek, sidelong glances followed me in the dining hall. Coach and the new guy seem tight, someone muttered during breakfast. Sebastian must have heard too, because his avoidance turned ironclad. He reassigned teams, ensuring I never crossed his path in drills. The isolation stung deeper than the physical distance. Tyler became my anchor, pulling me aside after a morning run. Ignore the noise, but talk to him before it blows up. I tried once, cornering Sebastian near the equipment shed after dusk. We need to clear the air. That confession. He cut me off, eyes darting. Drop it, Gabriel. For both our sakes. This program relies on trust, not complications. His words carried a plea mixed with fear. That night, another call from home shattered what remained. Mom sounded worried. Your cousin mentioned something about camp dynamics. You aren't getting involved with the wrong crowd, are you? Dad's voice boomed in. Real men lead without distractions. Their prejudice, wrapped in concern, mirrored Sebastian's walls. I hung up shaking, the hypocrisy clear, hiding who I was to please them, just as he hid to protect his role. The betrayal felt personal now, like the world conspired against honesty. Sebastian faced his own heat. During staff meeting notes shared by Tyler's friend, the camp director had pulled him aside. Keep it strictly professional. Parents are sensitive. The rumor had reached administration, forcing his hand. I watched from afar as he led a ropes course the next day, his laughter forced, shoulders tense. When our groups overlapped, he addressed the team but skipped my feedback. The misunderstanding peaked at the weekly bonfire. Marcus joked loudly about special bonds, and Sebastian stood abruptly, excusing himself. I followed at a distance, finding him by the lake, staring at the stars. This is killing me, I admitted quietly. He turned, face lined with exhaustion. You don't understand the cost. I've lost friends, jobs before over this. Family back east expects the straight coach image. His sacrifice showed in the slump of his posture. We stood inches apart, the water lapping softly, but he stepped back. Stay away, Gabriel. It's better. The words landed like a final cut. Back in the bunkhouse, Tyler listened as I vented. He's sacrificing his happiness for safety. But you're waking up because of it. Sleep evaded me, the internal conflict raging. Anger at his retreat, empathy for his fears, and a growing certainty about my own path. The next morning brought a group hike where tension boiled. Sebastian led, but when a camper twisted an ankle, I helped carry the load while he coordinated rescue. Our eyes met over the stretcher, a silent acknowledgement of shared burden. Yet by afternoon, distance resumed. Family pressure mounted with another call. Dad pushing me toward normal post-camp plans. The choices loomed larger: confront fully or accept the stranger treatment as protection. As the week closed, the misunderstandings had forged a deeper resolve in me. Sebastian's walls weren't just personal. They reflected a world that demanded hiding. But every avoidance chipped at my old self, pushing toward the man I might become. The final week accelerated everything. Camp activities peaking with a multi-day backpacking trek into the high country. Sebastian organized the groups, deliberately splitting us, but logistics forced a last-minute swap that put me in his oversight team. The trails wound steep, air thinning as we climbed. Tension crackled unspoken between us during breaks. Tyler hiked nearby, offering silent support with glances. Halfway up, a sudden downpour hit again, scattering the group under trees. Sebastian and I ended up paired for shelter setup. Pitch it tight, he instructed, hands working the tarp beside mine. Rain soaked us both, but the proximity forced words. Why pretend after everything? I asked, voice steady despite the storm. He paused, water dripping from his cap. Because revealing it changes nothing good. My past, coming out cost me a coaching gig in California. Family cut ties temporarily. Here, with kids looking up to me, it's not worth the risk. The confession deepened, raw under the pines. I shared mine. The family calls, the buried doubts now surfacing. But hiding is costing us both. I'm ready to face who I am because of you. He looked at me then, eyes pained with conflict. You deserve better than this half-life, Gabriel. But I can't drag you into my mess. The hike resumed in silence, but the exchange lingered like the mist. Back at base camp that night, a betrayal surfaced. Marcus had reported inappropriate closeness to the director, twisting the shelter moment. Sebastian got called in, emerging hours later with a warning letter. He avoided the group entirely after. I confronted him at dawn by the trailhead. This is my fault for pushing. He shook his head. No, it's the world. I sacrificed openness for stability once before. Can't repeat it. His decision to pull away completely hit like a wave. The final campfire became a test. As stories circled, Sebastian spoke of leadership through adversity, voice even but eyes avoiding mine. I stood afterward, heart heavy with the consequences of our choices. Tyler pulled me for a walk. He's protecting you too in his way. But your growth is real now. The trek's end brought awards, Sebastian handing mine with a brief "well done" that felt final. Packing the bus the next morning, I watched him oversee departures, the stranger mask perfect. Yet in that last glance, a flicker of regret showed. The drive home to Chicago stretched long, my mind replaying every misunderstanding, sacrifice, and awakening. Sebastian's choice to distance had forced my hand, coming out to Tyler fully, journaling the turmoil. Family waited with their expectations, but I returned changed, ready for the next confrontation. The summer had tested us both, its lessons etched deeper than any scar. Months later, Chicago's winter streets felt colder after the Rockies' freedom. I'd started a part-time job at a community center, channeling camp lessons into youth programs, but Sebastian's absence haunted quieter moments. Tyler stayed in touch, encouraging me during family dinners where I tested small truths. "I'm figuring myself out," I'd say, dodging Dad's frowns. The identity I'd discovered refused to stay buried. One crisp afternoon in Lincoln Park, fate intervened. I spotted him across the path, Sebastian, bundled in a coat, walking alone. Our eyes locked, recognition breaking the stranger facade. "Gabriel," he said softly, stopping. We sat on a bench, the city humming around us. He explained the aftermath. Left the camp early, took a city job coaching youth sports, still guarded but reflecting. "Your words on the trail stuck. Hiding protected my job but isolated me more. I shared my progress, partial coming out, family tensions easing slowly, the freedom in authenticity. Misunderstandings from summer resurfaced in honest talk. His fear rooted in past betrayals, my push from newfound courage. I sacrificed connection thinking it saved us," he admitted. "But seeing you here, maybe the risk is worth it." We didn't rush. Friendship rebuilt first, coffees turning to long walks where vulnerabilities surfaced without camp's pressure. Societal stares occasionally reminded us of the world, but choices now felt ours. Family met him eventually as a friend from camp. The bridge gradual. Growth crystallized in quiet decisions. Sebastian opening to a support group, me volunteering with LGBT youth. The journey from confession to stranger to reconnection taught us both. Love demanded honesty, even amid consequences. Yet as snow fell softly one evening, walking side by side, the question lingered unspoken. True or false? Hiding your true feelings always protects the people you love more than revealing them?